Coming up on Hoosier Sports Night, Indiana softball sweeps a 2-game set against Detroit Mercy.
And water polo takes on Stanford, the #2 ranked team in the country. This is Hoosier Sports Night.
Hello and welcome to Hoosier Sports Night. I'm Grace Lusher.
And I'm Darian Watson. Grace, today's April Fool's. Did you get tricked at all today?
I did a couple times. I'm a really gullible person, so it's kind of expected, and my friends know that about me, but we're done with the jokes. We're here to talk IU sports. And IU baseball broke down last night in Evansville, similar to our very own Ethan Bonner's car, but it's okay because he still made it to the game, and he has the story.
After struggling through the first part of the season, Indiana falls just short once again to Evansville 5-4, where they now sit at 10-18 on the year and 3-9 in conference play. Indiana jumped out to a quick lead with Jake Hanley hammering a 2-run homer 443 feet over the fence in the first. It was the longest home run Indiana has hit all year. Both Indiana and Evansville stayed scoreless through the second and third inning, but momentum built once again for the Hoosiers in the fourth as freshman Landon Fry singled to left field and Owen Tenover doubled the opposite way, giving the Hoosiers a 4-run advantage. The biggest factor for Indiana was their pitching, as they went through 9 during the entirety of the game.
Well, the main strategy is trying to not have any one guy have to carry too much of a burden. We had 2 really good weekend starters get hurt, and so when that happens, and it happens, but when that does happen, now you have guys that aren't necessarily built up for coverage.
Evansville clawed back from the 5th inning on with Tate Deal hitting the game-winning single up the middle in the 11th, giving the Aces a 5-4 win over the Hoosiers.
The Hoosiers look to rebound this weekend with another Big Ten weekend series against Rutgers at Bart Kaufman Field in Bloomington. From German American Bank Field, I'm Ethan Bond, IUSTV Sports.
The Hoosiers will look to get back on track this weekend as they host a 3-game set against Rutgers.
Indiana softball hosted the Detroit Mercy Titans for a 2-game series this past weekend. IUSTV's own Caleb Robbins has the recap.
After suffering a tough loss at the hands of number 16 ranked Oregon on Monday night, the Hoosiers were back in action at Andy Moore Field, taking on the Detroit Mercy Titans. With the wind whistling and the temperature dropping, neither team recorded a hit till the 4th inning, when Ellie Goins ripped a double as a part of a 4-run inning that broke the game open for the Hoosiers.
And then got the run support that we needed. Started out a little bit slow with the wind. Again, I thought we had a couple balls hitting that first inning in left field. It was hard to get anything out. And I think we settled in our base running and our bunts, our small ball came through on the clutch.
But the true story of the game was the dominance of Aubrey Hooks in the circle. After conceding 5 runs on Monday night against Oregon, the freshman bounced back in a big way on Friday night. Hooks' command was on display the entire game, leading to the very first no-hitter of her young career. On the offensive end, aggression was the name of the game, particularly in their willingness to take the extra base, putting constant pressure on the Titans' catcher behind the plate.
And we did focus a lot yesterday on base running. We had a practice yesterday that felt like a fall ball practice.
Fueled by efforts on both sides of the ball, the Hoosiers took the first game of the series 8-0. Following up the no-hitter on Friday night, the pitching for the Hoosiers was a much different story on Saturday afternoon. Down 2-0 in the first, Coach Standing called to the bullpen much earlier than she probably would have liked, bringing in Brooke Mannon for Taylor Hess. With the sun shining brighter and brighter as the day went on, Indiana hung in there, reaching base primarily via walks and a plethora of hit-by pitches. Leading by 4 heading into the 7th inning, the crowd's nerves would set in after a couple of runs by the Titans. But Indiana finished the job, holding on to a 7-5 victory.
I think just trust my teammates. They had a couple of hits that just landed where nobody was at, and then trust Ella to come in and back me up.
With the series win, Indiana will move to 27-7 overall as they prepare for a big test heading out west to take on the number 7 ranked UCLA Bruins next weekend. For IUSTV Sports, I'm Caleb Robbins.
After a week of rest, Indiana will travel out west, taking on the UCLA Bruins over the weekend.
Indiana men's swimming is back on the podium. The Hoosiers clinched their second straight third-place finish at the 2026 NCAA Men's Swimming and Diving Championships this past Saturday. This marks Indiana's 8th consecutive top 6 national finish and 5th straight top 5. The Hoosiers scored 351 points. Despite returning only 4 individual scores and losing 3 national champions to graduation, IU still held strong as the number 3 team in the nation. 10 of their 15 All-Americans this year were first-time individual point scorers. Senior Zillian Charcanet set NCAA and Big Ten records in the 1,000 and 1,650 freestyles, plus the 500 free. Owen McDonald claimed second in the 200 IM, setting another Big Ten record. This season, Indiana won its 32nd and 5th straight Big Ten title, sweeping 10 events and dominating the competition. IU has won 8 of the last 10 men's swim and dive titles.
With the Little 500 race day fast approaching, teams look to secure a strong position ahead of the main event. Dana Belmer is at the wall with a breakdown of the early standouts. Dana?
The 75th season of the historic Little 500 race kicked off this past weekend as riders took the track early Saturday morning to take on qualifications. And when the times were finalized, the results gave us our first look at who could be contending for the title come later this month. Let's take a look. Reigning champion Theta took first place with a time of 2:43.88, opening up a significant gap ahead of second place Teeter, who finished in 2:47.54. Shortly after, AKO, who was runner-up in last year's race, placed third with a time of 2:47.91. DG came in fourth with a time of 2:48.34, and lastly, Melanzana took fifth with a time of 2:50.1. Now looking at the men's race, Cutters led the field with the fastest qualifying time of 2:25.71, followed by SAE in second at 2:27.21. Fiji claimed third with a 2:28.09, just a tenth of a second ahead of Sigep in fourth at 2:28.19. Rounding out top 5, reigning champs Blackheath Bulls clocked a 2:28.22. Looking ahead, the men's Little 5 race will take place on Saturday, April 25th at 2 p.m. The race will be held at Bill Armstrong Stadium as a part of the World's Greatest College Weekend. The women's race will be Friday, April 24th at 4 p.m. For more information, make sure you stay updated by following IU Student Foundation on Instagram. And as always, don't forget to turn left.
Coming up after the break, we crown our Hoosier Highlight Athlete of the Week.
And track and field hits the outdoor tracks for the first time this season. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Hoosier Sports Night.
Now joining us in studio for this week's Hoosier Highlight is our very own Chase Parker.
Thanks, Grace. The Indiana men's swimming and diving team finished third in the nation this past weekend at the NCAA Championships, and leading the way was team captain Owen McDonald. McDonald, a senior from Alpharetta, Georgia, put together one of the best weekends of his career in his final NCAA Championships. The former Arizona State swimmer finished tied for 5th in the 100 backstroke with a personal best time of 43.84 seconds. He then entered the 200 individual medley relay as the top qualifier after being the only swimmer under 1 minute and 40 seconds in prelims. In the final, McDonald finished as the NCAA runner-up in the 200 IM with a time of 1:38.56, setting both an Indiana program record and a Big Ten record. He also helped lead the Hoosiers to first-team All-America honors in both the 400 medley relay and the 400 freestyle relay. Owen McDonald's performance played a major role in Indiana finishing third in the country for the second straight season, making him this week's Hoosier Highlight Athlete of the Week. For IUSTV Sports, I'm Chase Parker. Back to you guys.
Indiana women's water polo hosted number 2 Stanford for their first home game of the season. IUSTV's own Aisling Zarate has the story.
Indiana women's water polo welcomed number 2 Stanford to Bloomington for its first home game of the season. But the Hoosiers faced a tough challenge against one of the nation's best. Stanford came out strong, opening the game on an 8-0 run and keeping Indiana off the board through the entire first half. The Cardinal never let up, controlling the pace on both ends of the pool. But the Hoosiers quickly showed some fight in the second half.
I think it was mostly just about continued attack. They're one of the best teams in the country and have some of the best players in the world on their roster for a reason. So having no fear, being never daunted, and just trying to put our best play in the pool, no matter who the opponent is.
In the third quarter, Grace Klingler got Indiana on the board, shifting some momentum back to the home side. Soon after, Louisa Downs added another goal. With just 15 seconds left in the third, Nicole Tyner found the back of the cage to keep Indiana pushing. Then, in the fourth, After a steal by the Hoosiers, Klinger scored again for Indiana's final goal of the afternoon.
Grace did a great job. She's really, she's a senior and a captain for a reason. She's fully kept her foot on the pedal the whole season.
In the second half, the Cardinal added 8 more goals to stay in control the rest of the way.
From the Councilman Billingsley Aquatic Center, I'm Ashling Zarati, IUSTV Sports. Back to you guys at the desk.
Indiana Water Polo will be back in action for Senior Day next Friday as they take on number 5 Arizona State.
Indiana Track and Field saw its first action of the season this past weekend at the Raleigh Relays in North Carolina. The Hoosiers sent a team of distance runners and throwers to the meet, and it was the throwers who dominated the day. Senior Michaela Hunter opened the spring with a second-place finish in the shot put. In the men's shot put, Seth Brachot took 5th place. Brothers Dalton and Rockland Boisseau placed 4th and 15th in the men's javelin. Dalton threw 64.65 meters, landing 3rd on the all-time record list at IU. Day 2 started with a bang as Hannah Alexander placed 2nd in the women's discus throw. Caleb Smith saw a personal best in the discus, throwing 52.52 and capturing 5th place. The distance squad saw tons of personal bests from young and experienced runners. Highlighting these were Claire Overfelt's 33-minute and 54-second run in the women's 10,000 meter. Up next for the Hoosiers, they traveled to Louisiana for the Battle of the Bayou on Friday and Saturday.
The Indiana men's and women's golf teams both competed in tournaments this past weekend. The men's team only sent a few individual golfers while the women's team took 3rd place, their best finish this spring so far. The Lady Hoosiers had the lights out final round as they climbed 7 spots in the team standings, shooting a round 3 tournament best 7 under par as a team. Sheridan Clancy led the way for the Hoosiers as she finished 8th in the individual standing. Katie Poots and Madison DeBagia also finished inside the top 20. Caleb Schrar of the men's team was the Hoosier standout golfer as he finished in the top 25 as he and his team prepare for the end of the season. Both teams play in a tournament hosted by Ohio State in 2 weeks.
Indiana men's tennis had a strong doubles showing in a series of gritty singles comebacks to take down rival Purdue 4-1 on Friday at the IU Tennis Center. Our Jack Cappick caught up with head coach Jeremy Wertzman after the match to discuss the significance of the rivalry win and the team's recent success in doubles play.
The Indiana Hoosiers rolled past rivals Purdue today by a final score of 4-1. They started the day off with continued doubles success, continuing what they had last weekend where they won 2 doubles points into this weekend where they won their 3rd straight doubles point.
We've had a lot of success in doubles, and I think we're confident in the doubles point. We believe we can win doubles points against Ohio State, and they're playing top 5 in the country tennis, if not the best team in the country. So I really think it shows we can play doubles with every other team that we play. It is a short format in that it's 1 set, so you got to be ready to go. So I think the home team has a bit of an advantage, and so we were able to win the last 4 doubles points. Probably helped that we were at home as well, though. I guess last 3 doubles points. Yeah.
The Hoosiers then rolled this over into singles, where they were able to secure 3 singles points to Purdue's 1. When I asked Coach if this one was a little bit sweeter because it was a rivalry game, he said that it was, and that they've had this one circled on their schedules for months.
I mean, we remember last year, we went into their place and it was loud and they got us. And so this is a match we circle every year. We want to take care of this match. You're going to get their best. We hope to get our best. There's going to be a little bit more added pressure to the match because it's a rivalry in-state match.
The Hoosiers have now started a 2-game win streak after their win last Sunday over Penn State and now tonight. The Hoosiers look to continue this 2-game win streak and make it a 3-game win streak next Friday at Illinois. I'm Jack Havoc with IUSTV, signing off.
With the rivalry win, Indiana has now claimed 8 of its last 10 meetings with Purdue and will look to carry that momentum into a road matchup at Illinois on April 3rd.
Now joining us in this week's Candy Stripe Calendar Report is Joelle Sabrinta.
Thanks, guys. Hoosier Nation is heading into a busy weekend with action happening all across the country. Friday kicks off a busy slate for Hoosier tennis. The women are out east to take on Rutgers in Maryland, while the men travel to Urbana-Champaign to face Illinois before wrapping up the weekend at Northwestern. Women's rowing heads to Ohio State to compete in the double duel. Water polo hosts Arizona State here in Bloomington on Friday before traveling to Ann Arbor on Saturday to battle the Wolverines. Baseball is staying put at Bart Kaufman Field for a 3-game homestand against Rutgers, with first pitch set for 6 p.m. on Friday. Meanwhile, softball hits the road as they head to Los Angeles. They'll face off against the UCLA Bruins in a 3-game series starting Friday night at 10 p.m. Eastern. Finally, track and field will turn up the heat down south as they compete in the Battle of the Bayou at LSU. That's it for this week's Candy Stripe calendar. Back to you guys at the desk.
And that's our show for the week. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at IUSTV Sports. For our production crew behind us, I'm Darren Watson.
And I'm Grace Lesher. We'll see you next time.